In Australia, 9 men die from prostate cancer every single day. It's a remarkable figure. While it mainly affects older men, that's not always the case. And the man you're about to meet is hoping that his story encourages others to start screening early.
Craig was a really kind, caring, loving husband and my soulmate and best friend. He absolutely loved his farming operation and sheep breeding, and also his 3 gorgeous children.
Mulled wine, you can't beat it on a cold afternoon.
He was great. He loved us a lot. He was quite hard on us, so he pushed us to kind of achieve our best. But yeah, he was a good dad, yeah.
9 months ago, without warning, Craig Hagarton took his own life.
I tell him how much I love him, and I totally forgive him for taking away the pain that he was obviously suffering in those last few hours.
When Craig was first diagnosed with prostate cancer at the age of 56, he had surgery to remove his prostate gland. But when the cancer returned, doctors put him on hormone therapy to block the production of testosterone. It's known as androgen deprivation therapy and can slow the cancer's growth or temporarily shrink it. But the side effects are brutal. Some men lose muscle strength, bone density and sexual function and can experience breast swelling and weight gain.
He was sleeping hot and therefore not sleeping really well. He had no libido whatsoever, which was obviously really worrying him. He actually made mention to a couple of his mates when we were away that he was nothing but an old wether, which is a desexed ram.
And the effects aren't just physical. The risk of depression is 3 times greater in men who undergo the therapy.
There was mention of depression, but definitely no mention of suicide.
Craig had already been living with depression for more than 2 decades.
I guess the ADT enabled him to not be as tolerant and accepting as perhaps he would normally be. I asked him a couple of times if he was okay, and he didn't really answer me in hindsight.
Craig died just 3 months after starting ADT.
If I'd known that he was 70% more at risk of suicide by having prostate cancer, yeah, my antenna just would have been up. We would have not left him alone, you know, the way we did the night that he died.
Surf journalist Tim Baker had just turned 50 when he realised something wasn't quite right.
Just noticed I was going to the bathroom all the time, and I was referred to a urologist, and he'd done a bone scan, and then he said the horse has bolted, which sounded like bad news, which meant, you know, the cancer had already spread.
Tim was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer and told that in 5 years his health would decline rapidly.
My kids were 9 and 13, and I quickly set myself the goal of 10 years because I figured I wanted to at least see them through to adulthood. I was immediately started on hormone therapy, and then I had 6 cycles of chemotherapy. So you've got these 2 pretty toxic treatments concurrently. It really feels like you've just been hit by a truck.
And he certainly wasn't prepared for hormone replacement therapy.
ADT is sometimes referred to as chemical castration, which is a pretty dramatic treatment, and it leaves you just feeling like you've just lost some essence of yourself. It challenges your sense of self and your sense of masculinity. You have all these really sort of dramatic bodily changes. I would say hormone therapy cost me a 20-year marriage. There was probably a real low point for me 3 years in where I really questioned whether if this was my life on this medication, you know, was life even worth living?
But the treatment has worked for Tim. 10 years on, he says he's living well.
I'm alive today thanks to medical science, but I'm alive and well because of all the things I've done for myself. Meditation, exercise, diet and sleep.
Tim says the Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia also helped get his life back on track.
So I'd encourage any man who's struggling with side effects of treatment, call the PCFA, speak to one of their specialist nurses or counsellors. I've used those services, they're really good.
With prostate cancer being the most commonly diagnosed cancer in this country, this should be a national health priority.
The organisation's Director of Nursing, Sally Sara, says they're stretched thin, particularly in regional areas.
We've called on the government for $7.7 million to bring on board another 21 specialist prostate cancer nurses over the next 3 years. Being able to have access to a locally based prostate cancer specialist nurse in a regional area who understands the complexity of the disease is a much better option than a phone call to a nurse who may be 6 hours away.
It's the kind of support the Hagartons reckon Craig could have done with.
We need the governments to step up and put a whole lot more funding into prostate cancer. And yeah, I honestly believe that by me speaking out, If I can save one life, it is so worthwhile. Yeah, I don't want other families to go through what we are currently going through.
It's so amazing for them to share their story, because that awareness piece, if you are in that situation and you feel that way, particularly if you have experienced depression before, you're not going to think to yourself, this is the hormone therapy. You're going to think, this is me.
Totally.
And if you can't understand that this could be something that, else, and you could get help for it, understanding that is so important at that time. So it's amazing for them to speak out.
Yeah, to support the work of the Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia, you can check out their page on our website.